If your kids are struggling with the count on strategy, it could be this. So let's just say your students are given 8 plus 5 and they're really confident with being able to count all. So going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And they've got that step down pat. But then as soon as you take the concrete materials away, they fall apart. It could be because of this reason. And I noticed this during coaching some prep teachers last year. So the students were able to first lock in the 8. So they'd lock in 8 and then they'd start to count on the 5. And they'd go 8, 9, 10, 11. And they'd use their fingers, but it was at this point where they'd keep getting lost. And lots of them would just then start counting and keep counting and wouldn't know where to stop. So they might go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And got completely lost and mixed up with their fingers. So what they were missing is, while they were able to lock in and hold the 8 to start with, they couldn't then recognize where to stop. So they couldn't recognize that they wanted to stop once they added 5 more. To address this, we first got the kids to look at the problem and think about which number they were locking in to count on from. In this case, 8 was the largest, so we're going to lock in 8. But then it was this next step that made all the difference. We got them to look at the number they were adding and show what it looked like on their hands. So in this case, show me what 5 looks like on your hands. And then they would hold up 5. And then we'd say, all right, you've got to remember what that looks like. So we're going to lock in 8 and then remember what that 5 looks like. That's how much we're adding in, and that's when we're going to stop. So now that they've observed that 5 first and locked that in as well, then they can go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the answer must be 13. Let's do one more example. So here we've got 6 plus 7. So we'd say, all right, which one's the biggest one? 7's the biggest. So let's lock that in. We're locking in 7. Now, before we start, we're going to add on 6. So let's have a look on our fingers. What does 6 look like? Okay, so I'm going to put a 5 and a 1. All right, that's what 6 looks like, which means when I start counting on from my 7, I'm going to stop when I see my 6. So I'm going to lock in 7 and then count on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There it is. I can see my 6. I've reached my 6, so I know that the answer is 13. So then what works really well if you're about to teach a lesson on count on is getting your students to start by warming up, showing and representing different amounts on their fingers. So for example, what does 4 look like? They might hold up 4 fingers. What does 5 look like? What's 7 look like? And so on. I'd love to hear about it if some of your students have been having the same difficulties, or if you've got your own tips and tricks on how to teach count on. Let me know. Go math it up.